now you've said the president is willing to negotiate on the budget, and he's even willing to entertain ideas for improving the Affordable Care Act. Why shouldn't we see these talks as that kind of negotiation as opposed to negotiating on the things you don't want to negotiate?
Because they're not about that. He will not negotiate. He will not offer concessions to Republicans in exchange for not tanking the economy. So today's meeting is about the need to open the government and the need to ensure that we do not default. And the president's made clear that he will, that he is happy and willing, as he has been all year long, to engage in serious conversations and negotiations with Republican lawmakers who want to find common ground on our budget challenges. Absolutely willing to. What he is not willing to do is negotiate under the threat of default or under the threat of continuing to shut down the government. Congress has a responsibility to open the government. Again,
going back to this meeting, if the president's not going to negotiate, as you have said, what will he say or what can he say today during this meeting to move this process forward and try to break this stalemate?
He will, I'm sure, express what I have just expressed, which is his concern about the impacts of a shutdown, his concern about the devastating impacts of even the threat of default and the catastrophic impacts of default itself. And he will, I think, ask the leaders to consider the fact that he's making no demands of them in this process. He's attaching no demands to any proposed legislation that would open the government at current levels. Like these are not levels that the president set or that the president asked for. These are current levels of spending, no increases, and then he's asking for the Congress to simply authorize the Treasury to pay the bills that the Congress has already charged. I mean, this would be like on default, and I've thought about this a lot lately. You make a purchase on your credit card. The moment you do that, because you contract with the credit card company, you have incurred debt. The bill comes due in a month. And if you don't pay that bill, you have defaulted. But in paying that bill, you have not incurred new debt. You are simply paying what you owe. And Congress has authorized spending, both through annual discretionary appropriations and through mandatory programs. And because of those legal obligations that Congress has established, we have debts that we must pay. And Congress is proposing, the House Republicans are proposing, that if they don't get to take insurance away from millions of Americans, they won't let the United States pay its bills.
But Jay, the president's made those arguments and the process hasn't moved forward. So I guess the question is, what's going to be different about this conversation?
We can't force House Republicans to vote the way we think they should. The president can and he will make the case for why it's the right and responsible thing to do. He will make clear to them his willingness, his year-long willingness, his presidency-long willingness to sit down and try to find compromise with Republicans on budget priorities and ways to reduce our deficit in a responsible manner. And but he won't, he won't allow the American economy and the American middle class to be held hostage to the partisan demands of a minority within one house of one branch of government.
I just want to clarify two things. So the president's position is he won't negotiate around the CR, and that the House has to pass a clean CR, and then he'll be willing to negotiate. But then he also won't negotiate on the debt ceiling. So are you saying that any negotiations for something larger wouldn't be able to happen until after the debt ceiling was dealt with, not just the CR?
I mean, again, how this plays out obviously depends on the actions that the Congress takes, but it is absolutely the president's position that he won't negotiate under threat of default or continued shutdown of the government budget priorities, because the Republicans are interested in holding the economy hostage and the middle class hostage to try to achieve through that process what they could not achieve through Congress in the past, through the courts, or through the ballot box. And